polar bears, penguins are also good swimmers. Their body are streamlined and the feet have webs making them good swimmers. Now, after the adaptations that we saw in the polar bears, now we move on to the another creature that is very beautiful and good looking, and that is the penguins. We all love to see the penguins when they walk, walk in the groups. They look literally beautiful. So the penguins also are the good swimmers as the polar bears are. Now they have a streamline, मतलब एक straight body है penguins की, और उनके जो feet होते हैं, they are the webbed feet है webs, जैसे ducks के feet होते हैं ना, वैसे उनके भी feet कैसे होते हैं, webbed feet होते हैं, which helps them in the swimming. Other animals living in the polar regions are many types of fishes, musk oxen, reindeers, foxes, seals, whales, and the birds. It is to be noted that while fish can remain under cold water for long, birds must remain warm to survive. Not only are the polar bears and the penguins that they stay in the polar regions, but there are many different types of fishes that live in that cold water. Then there's a musk oxen that is there. Then reindeers. You might have seen the reindeers in the Santa Claus's sledge that is drawn by the Santa Claus का जो sledge होता है, जो हमने बहुत सारे pictures में देखा होगा, उसमें आगे तो animals होते हैं. Those animals are the reindeers. सो रेनडियर्स होते हैं, बहुत सारे फॉक्सेस होते हैं, सील्स होते हैं जो बर्फ़ के पानी में ही रहते हैं, वेल्स होते हैं, एंड मेनी डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ बर्ड्स आर ऑल्सो देयर. मीन्स डिफरेंट ऑल दीज क्रिएचर्स ऑल्सो और ऑल दीज एनिमल्स ऑल्सो एग्जिस्ट इन द पोलर regions. Now, in the as the birds can survive underwater, they can remain underwater, but birds have to रिमेन वार्म टू सर्वाइव. लेकिन बर्ड्स को अपने आप को वार्म रखना पड़ता है सर्वाइव करने के लिए. दे माइग्रेट टू द वार्मर रीजन्स व्हेन द विंटर सेट्स इन. दे कम बैक आफ्टर द विंटर इज ओवर. You know probably that India is one of the destinations of many of these birds. You must have seen or heard about the Siberian crane that comes from Siberia to places like Bharatpur in Rajasthan and Sultanpur in Haryana and some other wetlands of northeast and some other parts of India. Now, as the birds cannot remain they have to keep their body warm, but in the winters their body is like that they don't have any layer of fat like the fur on the top of their skin that keeps their body warm. So what they do is, as the onset of winter is there, or as the winter starts, they move to the warmer places. That means they migrate to the places which is warmer. Now, it is very fortunate that India is one of those countries where large number of migratory birds come from these colder regions, especially in the Rajasthan. There's a bird sanctuary in the Bharatpur district in Rajasthan, and one is in Sultanpur in Haryana. These two are the hot destinations of these migratory birds, and a large number of these migratory birds come from the Siberian region of Russia, which is the coldest region, where there special types of birds which are the Siberian cranes. They are known by that name only. They come here in the winter, and as the winter is over, they again move back to their own place. They fly thousands of kilometers to come to India in the warmer regions, and it's just a beauty to watch these Siberian cranes in our country during the winter season. They're lovely, beautiful birds. So this way the birds adapt themselves and survive in the colder regions. When again with the onset of summer, they again move back to the colder regions in their home. So, and in the certain other places like northeast and some other northeast and some other parts of India, also in the wetlands, मतलब जहाँ पानी होता है वहाँ पर जो है ये birds ज़्यादा migrate करते हैं, because they are adapted to living in the colder places. और यहाँ पर जो होती है उतनी ठंड नहीं होती, इसलिए उनको थोड़ा सा वेटलैंड्स की ज़रूरत पड़ती है जहाँ पे वो अपने आप को कूल भी रख सके, एंड द सेम टाइम दे कैन कीप देयर बॉडी वार्म ऑल्सो टू सर्वाइव. सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द प्लेसेस वेयर द बर्ड्स कम, एंड दीज टाइप ऑफ बर्ड्स आर कॉल्ड एज द माइग्रेटरी बर्ड्स. दैट माइग्रेशन इज मूविंग फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर फॉर अ सर्टन पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, and then they again go back. So that is why they are called as the migratory birds. Now there's, see, you can see these migratory birds in their habitat and migratory birds in the flight. You can see these are the birds in their habitat, मतलब जहाँ उनका खुद का ओरिजिनल जो घर है, जहाँ रहते हैं जो naturally, that is the natural habitat, and these are the birds moving out of the natural habitat during the winter season. Now, do you know, is there some of the migratory birds travel as much as 15,000 kilometers to escape to the extreme climatic conditions to at home. So the migratory birds can fly a lot of distance. They can cover a lot of distance, and as much as 15,000 kilometers they fly to come to the warmer places for their survival. Generally, they fly high where the wind flow is helpful, and the cold conditions allow them to disperse the heat generated by their flight. Now they fly at a great height. They don't normally fly at the lower heights. They fly at a higher height, so that when they fly, the heat is generated in the body, and that heat can be easily dispersed in the wind. And at the height, the wind is also there, which helps them to move ahead. तो वो लोग हाइट पे जो होते हैं काफ़ी ऊंचाई पे उड़ते हैं, जिससे कि क्या होता है कि एक तो हवा होती है ऊंचाई पे, वो उनको हेल्प करती है उड़ने के लिए, और सेकेंडली जब वो उड़ते हैं तो जो हीट उनके बॉडी में जनरेट होती है वो इजीली वो लोग उसको अपने बॉडी से निकाल सके. Generated by the flight muscles. But how these birds travel to the same place every year and is still a mystery. But see, it is very difficult. We still, the people have not understood, or the scientists who are studying on these birds have not understood, that how every year they come to the proper place without, see, we need a map to move from one place to another, but these birds are so accurate, or see, the God has created them in such a way that they know from where they have to move and to which place they have to go, so they reach their destination in time only. They know that now the winter is going to start, so that they start, and by the time they reach here, the winter has started here also. So they can easily adjust themselves, and it is a great mystery how they know the way and how they fly to India from such a distance. It seems that these birds have a built-in sense of direction and know in which direction to travel. Some birds probably use landmarks to guide them. Now, they have कुछ उनको इनबिल्ट ऐसा भगवान ने उनको गॉड को ऐसे सेंसेस दिए हैं कि दे कैन नो इन विच डायरेक्शन दे आर मूविंग एंड और इन विच डायरेक्शन दे हैव टू मूव. एंड सम ऑफ द माइग्रेटरी बर्ड्स कीप देयर लैंडमार्क्स, मतलब कोई ऐसी निशानी वो लोग भी रखते हैं कि जहाँ से उनको जाना है, एंड दीज लैंडमार्क्स गाइड देम. मेनी birds may be guided by the sun during the day and stars by the night. So some of the birds just see where the sun is, in which direction the sun is, and where the stars are. So according to that, sun, moon, and stars also they come, and those are their guiding. The sun, moon, and stars guide them. There is some evidence that the birds may use the magnetic field of the earth to find the direction. Now, one thought is also given by the scientists that the magnetic field that is created by the earth also gives them the directions, that the birds can understand that direction. And it is not only the birds that migrate. Mammals, many types of fishes, and insects are also known to migrate seasonally in search of more hospitable conditions. So it's not only the birds that fly to different places but there are many types of fishes are there, many insects are there, are they also, and many mammals are also there. They migrate to the safer places for their survival during the winter season. Now, dear children, the remaining part of this lesson we will be doing on the next turn. The polar regions present an extreme climate. These regions are covered with snow, and it is very, very cold for most part of the year. As the name suggests, polar regions, that means it is the pole, it is the end part of the earth, so it is very very cold throughout the year, most part of the time it is an extreme, मतलब cold जो होता है, ठंडी होती है वो इतनी ज़्यादा होती है कि एक एक्सट्रीम लेवल आ जाता है, जब इट्स कॉल्ड द हाइट ऑफ द कोल्डनेस, तो उतनी ठंड जो है वहाँ पर पड़ती है. फॉर 6 months द सन डज नॉट set at the poles while the other 6 months the sun does not rise. जैसे हमारे रोज सुबह और शाम होती है, जैसे सुबह early in the morning the sun rises and by the evening the sun sets, but in the polar region such things don't happen. For 6 months at a stretch the sun shines, and for the next 6 months you will not be able to see the sun. That means it's totally dark. In winters, the temperature can be as low as minus 37 degrees centigrade. Animals living there have adapted to these severe conditions. Let's see how they have adapted by considering the examples of the polar bears and the penguins. Now, the two very important and the very famous animals that live in the polar regions are one is the polar bears, the white polar bears, which have a thick layer of fur on the body so that they can protect themselves from the cold, extreme cold conditions. And the second are the penguins, which lay on the ice. They have a layer of fat inside their body which protects them from the cold. And in the winter, during the winter season, the temperature dips to minus 37 degrees. That means 0 डिग्री आता है. जब हम जो फ्रीजिंग पॉइंट ऑफ वाटर एज यू कॉल इट, जब बर्फ जमती है पानी की, तो उसका जो फ्रीजिंग पॉइंट होता है दैट इज योर 0 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. So when it's 0 degree centigrade itself is very cold, but the temperature goes below 0 degree centigrade, or that temperature comes in the minus. वो टेम्परेचर हम माइनस में उसको हम जो है मेजर करते हैं, एंड दैट गोज टू minus 37. दैट मीन्स नियरली minus 40 degree centigrade. दैट मीन्स totally freezing conditions are there in the polar regions during the winter season. And the two animals that have adapted very well are the polar bears and the penguins. Polar bears have white fur so that they Polar bears, have a white layer of fur on the skin, which resembles very much close to the snow. So they get easily mixed up in the snow, so they are not visible. So this helps them to protect from the predators. मतलब उनका कोई शिकार करे नहीं कर सकता, इसलिए वो अपने आप को वो बचा के रखते हैं with the help of the snow and the white fur that they have. तो स्नो और वाइट फर इतना इजीली मिक्स हो जाता है कि पता ही नहीं लगता कि यहाँ पर पोलर बेयर है. तो वो अपने आप को अपने जो उनको हंट करते हैं, उनका शिकार करते हैं, उससे वो बच सकते हैं. It also helps them in catching the prey. To protect them from the extreme cold, they have two thick layers of fur. They also have a layer of fat under their skin. Now, as you all know, that extreme climatic conditions are there, very very cold conditions are there. So ये जो वाइट कलर उनका होता है वो उनको अपने शिकार को, वो तो शिकार से बच सकते हैं, लेकिन वो खुद शिकार करने के लिए उनको जो है ये बहुत हेल्प करता है, उनके जो वाइट कलर फर है. सेकेंडली दैट वाइट दे हैव अ 2 लेयर ऑफ फर ऑन द स्किन. मतलब जो उनका स्किन होता है उसमें 2 लेयर्स होते हैं जो फर के होते हैं, जिससे कि वो ठंड से बच सकते हैं. एंड बिलो दैट दे हैव अ थिक लेयर ऑफ फैट ऑल्सो अंडर द स्किन. उनके स्किन के नीचे एक फैट का लेयर होता है. दैट फैट प्रोवाइड्स हीट टू आवर बॉडी. तो इससे क्या होता है, फैट का लेयर होने से उनको ठंड नहीं लगती है. In fact, they are so well insulated that they have to move slowly and rest often to avoid getting overheated. So there's so much of protection, so much of fat is there, the 2 layers of fur is there on the skin that keeps them so insulated. That means उनके अंदर इतनी गर्मी उनके अंदर होती है कि जब वो मूव करते हैं तो दे मूव वेरी स्लोली. यू माइट हैव सीन इन सम ऑफ द वीडियोस होता है, जैसे नेशनल ज्योग्राफिक में अगर आपने देखा होगा, तो जो पोलर बियर्स होते हैं दे मूव वेरी स्लोली, एंड आफ्टर सम टाइम दे सिट डाउन एंड रिलैक्स जस्ट बिकॉज टू अवॉइड गेटिंग ओवर हीटेड. अगर वो कंटिन्यूसली इफ दे कीप ऑन वॉकिंग देन दे विल गेट ओवर हीटेड विच विल इफेक्ट देम. इसलिए वो थोड़ा सा चलते हैं, देन दे टेक अ रेस्ट, then they move, then take a rest so that their body doesn't get overheated. मतलब the temperature of their body does not rise. Physical activities on warm days necessitate cooling, so the polar bear goes for swimming. It is good a swimmer, its pores are wide and large, which help it not only to swim but also to walk with ease in the snow. Now during the warmer days physical activities necessitates cooling. मतलब अगर जब गर्मियाँ होती हैं और जब वो कुछ भी physical activity करते हैं like catching its prey, moving around, so they feel hot. To keep their body cool, what they do, they swim in the water which is very very cool, which is the snowy water in which they swim. They are excellent swimmers also. It's white their paws, मतलब उनके पंजे जो होते हैं चौड़े और बड़े होते हैं, which helps them not only to swim but also to walk with ease in the snow. उनको क्योंकि because ठंड में उनको स्नो में ही चलना होता है, इसलिए जो उनके पंजे होते हैं, जो paws होते हैं, वो काफ़ी बड़े और चौड़े होते हैं, जो not only it helps in swimming also but it also helps in moving them in the snow in winter. While swimming underwater, it can close its nostrils and remain underwater for long durations. It has a strong sense of smell so that it can catch its prey for food. We can understand the adaptations of polar bear with the help of the flowchart given in 7.3. Now, second thing is that they can close they are very good swimmers and they swim underwater. मतलब पानी के ऊपर तैरते ऐसे नहीं है, पर पानी के अंदर वो तैरते हैं और उसके लिए वो क्या करते हैं, अपनी नाक जो है वो बहुत लंबे समय तक वो बंद रख सकते हैं एंड दे कैन लिव अंडर वाटर फॉर आवर्स. मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा लंबे समय के लिए वो पानी के नीचे रह सकते हैं. एंड इट हैज़ अ स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंस. उनके जो सेंसेस होते हैं वो इतने स्ट्रांग होते हैं कि दे कैन द स्पेल ऑफ देयर प्रे, मतलब उनके शिकार को वो अच्छे से सूंघ सकते हैं और वो उनको पानी में से दे कैच द प्रे इन द वाटर ओनली. नाउ वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड द adaptations by the flow chart that is given here. What all adaptations they have done to survive and to get their food. Now this is the polar bear. As you can see, the white fur is not easily visible in the snowy white background. That means the सबसे बड़ा इनका adaptation है, that is the white fur they have, which protects them and it helps them to catch the prey also. Its predators are and prey are unable to see it. Because of this उनके जो predators होते हैं उनको देख नहीं पाते हैं. Now the second thing is that इट हैज़ अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंस ऑफ स्मेल. मतलब कि उनके जो सेंस ऑर्गन्स है वो बहुत अच्छे हैं, बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग होते हैं. इट हेल्प्स देम टू बेयर द इट हेल्प्स देम टू हियर एंड टू लोकेट एंड कैच इट्स प्रे. मतलब इससे जो उनके सेंसेस उतने अच्छे होते हैं कि वो अपने प्रे को इजीली लोकेट कर सकते हैं. मतलब दे कैन फाइंड देयर प्रे इजीली. वो अपने शिकार को अच्छे से ढूंढ सकते हैं. देन इट हैज़ अ लॉन्ग कर्व्ड एंड शार्प क्लॉज. द क्लॉज मतलब जो उनके पंजे होते हैं वो लंबे और ऐसे कर्व्ड होते हैं क्लॉज की वो दे कैन इजीली कैच एंड होल्ड द प्रे. इट हेल्प्स देम टू वॉक ऑन द आइस. और उससे क्या होता है, एक तो बर्फ़ में चलने के लिए भी आसानी होती है और सेकेंडली दे कैन होल्ड द प्रे ऑल्सो. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज इट हैज़ अ लेयर ऑफ फैट अंडर द स्किन एज यू ऑल नो विच कीप्स देम वार्म. दिस फैट insulates the body from cold and keep it warm. तो जो फैट होता है that keeps the body warm. Then it has two thick layers of fur. This keeps the warm in the cold weather. जो फर है वो उनको ठंडा गर्म रखता है ठंड में. So these are the adaptations, basically the layer of fat, then and two layers of fur, then the claws that we have, their sense of smell. All these things helps them to survive in the extreme climatic conditions.